HBO, then HBO Go, now HBO Max. What is it? Do you need it? And will it help you in your cord-cutting adventures? Hello, I am Wanderer001, and this is my review of HBO Max on Roku. That will be the caveat of this particular review. This will be a review of the Roku interface for HBO Max. I'm also using my Roku Ultra review in the corner there, which will give you an idea of the hardware I'm using to actually do this review. Many of you have had HBO products in the past, and HBO Max is kind of, I'm going to call it almost a Me Too movement. As you can see down here, Paramount Plus, they all are trying to gather all of their properties in one place. And HBO in particular has a very distinct property lineup, and if you enjoy those properties, HBO will probably be a very good streaming service for you. If you don't like those properties, you may want to sit through this to see if there are other aspects that might be appealing to you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start HBO Max right now. I'm going to let all the screen times run in real time to give you an idea of load times, just so you know what you can expect. And I'm doing that in part, if you saw there, 3 little dots at the bottom of the screen. For whatever reason, HBO Max seems to have a slightly longer load time than a lot of the other streaming services that I've tried in the past. Right here we can see this is our profiles page. I have 3 adult profiles and 1 child profile set up. You can have 5 profiles per HBO Max account that you have, and have 3 simultaneous streams at once. So only 3 people at a time can be watching, even though you have 5 accounts, 5 profiles per account. At the bottom here, this is how you can either add a profile for an adult or add a profile for a child. And if we come down one more, we can actually manage our profiles. Selecting that will allow us to edit any one of these profiles. And what I'll do is I'll actually show you the edit for my main account here. Here you go. You can change the name, change the color right here, or you can come all the way over here and not change your profile picture. You actually have to use a mobile phone app to upload a photo or choose a character. I do not particularly care for that in my streaming applications. If you're going to allow me to do a selection of a profile picture, which every other one lets you do, you should be able to do that from within the app. So that's one ding against HBO Max. We're going to come all the way to the end here to the kids profile. I'm going to select edit, and you'll notice this particular page is showing up because I set up a pin to be able to edit the child's profile, meaning child can't come in here and automatically change something. So what we're going to do is quickly enter my pin so we can show you the options that you get for a child's profile. You have the name, and this was one that I found a little disturbing. They actually ask for a birth month and year. They say they use it to customize the content for the child, but if you look down here, you have the option of selecting what level content you would like displayed for a child. So I don't particularly like the fact that HBO makes you put in a birth date for a child. I just threw in an arbitrary information in here, and as you can see, 1990, you're not really a child anymore, but I wanted to see what it would do with that information. You can select both individually for movies as well as TV series what level you're comfortable with a child's profile having, and then at the bottom here, require PIN in order to edit a child's profile. I'm going to select cancel because we didn't really do anything, and then come down to the bottom and select done. So you'll know that you have a locked child's profile with that little lock icon there. Selecting the child's profile, we wait, and it brings us in. Now, here is the one thing that I do not necessarily like that HBO Max did. If we come over to switch profile, if I select down, it will show me my list, or I can select continue watching. This particular profile doesn't have anything on it, so we're just going to come back up to switch profile. In order to switch out of the kid's profile, you have to input your PIN. But if you do not leave off on a child's profile, let's say I was watching and my son or daughter comes home and wants to jump into HBO Max, if it's still on my profile, I don't have to input a password for an adult profile. They can be on an adult profile and watch whatever they want. So in some cases, I like the idea of a pin to get out of the child's profile, but I also feel each individual profile, that is an adult profile, should have a passcode or pin of its own in order for a child to not be able to get in and see that content. Again, HBO is well known for more graphic content, shall we say. Once we input our pin, it will allow us back to the main profile page, and then I will select my main profile right here. And again, we'll wait for the load time so that you can see there actually is a bit of a wait when we're jumping from profile to profile. Again, if I come selecting on the D-pad left and then up to profile selection, I can select my profile, and then here it will automatically end up on switch profile. It shows me my list. I can come over to continue watching, and here it'll show my continue watching. I can go back to my list. And I'm doing this just so you can see also how it highlights and the lag between. I can also come in here and select edit, and I can remove something from my continue watching or my list, which I do like. I just wish that they did not make it where you have to jump into this profile section in order to actually get to this. Because what we're going to do now is I'm going to come back to home, which is what we first land on when we click into our main profile. At the top, you always will have an ad for a new HBO original that they're trying to push on you. You could simply come down. You can still kind of see it there at the top. But first and foremost, which I do like, is the continue watching section. So here you can see I'm continuing watching of Westworld. It has a nice indicator underneath it letting you know how far it is. This was something I watched and only got one episode into and decided it is not for me. But again, from this page, if I select continue watching, it will bring me into the next episode. It does not allow me to remove it from this location, which is a little aggravating, having to go into that extra menu to do it. But I'm glad that they allow you to do it from the Roku at least. Coming down, we have our For You, and this is based on what's on your watch list and what you have actually watched. And I threw in a couple of extra things to my watch list to try and force it into something that I felt would be more akin to what I would expect it to show me, and I don't know. Some of these recommendations, I did not watch anything that would really merit these types of recommendations, and if the fact that I watched one episode of this is of close enough is why I'm getting a lot of these other recommendations, then I think HBO Max needs to work on the recommendation algorithm just a little bit. Coming down, you have your My List, which again isn't bad. It's in the third position on the main page, which is great. So here we got Ready Player One. It's a movie I added, Harley Quinn, and then I just added a bunch of DC Batman properties to try and force the For You to kind of change a little bit. The one thing in the My Lists in this particular place, you cannot change the order. Under your profile, like I showed you with the continue watching, you can change the order there. If we select one of our options, it will bring us into the TV show or movie. It'll give you a brief synopsis, big picture in the background. You have a play button highlighted in purple. So on this page, I do kind of like the fact that it's easy to know where you are. You have a restart because I watched all of this, and then you can either add to your list or in my case remove from my list. Coming down, it will show you seasons if there are seasons, and you can kind of scroll through all that. And again, easy to tell. We're going to hit back, and I'm going to hit back one more time to bring us to the home page one more time. Come back to our Ready Player One, because I'll show you what this looks like too. So again, synopsis, big picture, play, remove. You can play a trailer, and then more like this. So it's a recommendation engine based on what you looked at. Hey, this is probably what you would enjoy as well, and it'll give you some information about that. And we're going to select back and back to bring us to the home page one more time, and then we have our just added area. This will be things that were just added to HBO Max. Doesn't necessarily mean they're HBO originals. You have popular movies. So again, here are popular movies. It is around the holidays when I'm filming this. We've got new episodes this week. So what does that mean? That means these are new shows that have episodes that have been added to HBO Max just this week. So if you're keeping up with a TV series, you can do so there. Here we have popular TV. So again, these are going to be popular TV series that HBO owns the rights to. HBO highlights. Well, here we go. Again, it's feeding you what it thinks you should be watching or what you might like. Trending action, again, trending. It's going to show you movies. HBO Max Hub. So HBO Max, unlike HBO Go or HBO Original, there are, as you can see, Max Originals. So you have, here's HBO. This will show you HBO series, so you can see that there is Game of Thrones in there. HBO Max Originals, you've got your DC Hub. You've got your TMC, Adult Swim, Studio Ghibli, Cartoon Network, Sesame Street, Looney Tunes, Crunchyroll. So this is one area that you can access these hubs. So if I select Studio Ghibli, it's going to show me all the Studio Ghibli properties that HBO has the licensing rights to play you. Now, for those of you familiar with Studio Ghibli, you'll notice that these are definitely not all of the Studio Ghibli properties. These are only what HBO Max has the rights to. I'm going to select back because that was a quick look at the hubs selection. Again, if we select DC, this is going to be a combination of both movies, TV shows, cartoons, and at the top you could see featured. If you're just looking for Batman, notice it changes on its own. I don't actually have to press the OK button on the Roku remote, which I like. So if we look at Batman, it's going to show us all the Batman. So here's our Batman movies, a little bit of information. Here we go. Bat animations, which are going to be all of our Batman cartoons throughout the decades. So the hubs are a very interesting aspect to HBO Max. This is the second or third streaming service that has had something like this, and I kind of like it. It makes hunting and pecking less necessary. And here we go. Big old ad for whatever's new for HBO. Family dramas, must-see, epic quests. So all of these are really just going to be aggregates of things that HBO owns and wants you to look at. And it just keeps going on and on. I mean, here we go. We finally got to the hubs, again, all the way at the bottom. Now, if I want to go all the way back up to the top, if I select the back button on my Roku remote, that is the one thing that I do appreciate. It brings me all the way back up to the top. So I don't have to double click. I don't have to press the home button. I can just press back on the Roku remote, and it brings me all the way back up. I like that. Coming over to the left-hand side, we were on our home. I'm going to pop up to our search because, well, you can search for things. And what it's going to do is it actually searches all of the properties. So if I search for well, that was me searching for Addams Family, but you can see it really doesn't have that. But it will bring up anything that's related to, whether it's an artist or the title's name. Because you can see Godzilla. Well, Godzilla doesn't have Addams in the title. It just has a person in it with the name Addams. One particular thing that I've noticed with the search function, because it's searching across titles of episodes and shows, I've found that when searching for a cardinal familiarity between two consenting adults, we'll say, there are TV shows that have that as part of their titles. They will show up in the search here, depending on the level of access you give a child's profile. Those titles can actually show up when a child runs a search in their profile. They might not be able to click into the show, but they can search for it. And I'll show you that a little later when we go into the child's profile a little more in depth. So we were on search, we did home, movies. If we select that, it's going to show us our movies. And again, keeping the load times as they are. Right here, we've got Space Jam, because that's the new one that just came out. You can see it will show featured, just added, and it's dynamically changing at the bottom. Popular, A to Z. So A to Z is going to be a lot of scrolling because that's going to be all the movies that you have access to with HBO. And again, featured is going to break it down into these unique hubs to try and get you to find your materials a little faster. And that's one thing I'm not sure I particularly care for with HBO is just like the stylization of this, because popular movies on this page and on the home page, if I want to click into it, it's this film strip style. They don't have the grid style where you can see more of these at once. So you'll be doing a lot of scrolling because there's no button that says show me all featured. Or if I come over to A to Z, A to Z will give you a grid because now it's just listing everything. So I don't know. There are some areas where I feel that they could improve. Coming over, we have series. Selecting OK on the Roku remote will bring up our series. Here's our load time again. And I'm going to come down, and it's just like every other location. It'll show you featured. It'll break things out. If I come over to Game of Thrones, we'll open that up. And here's our series. It's just another way for you to find stuff. And the fact that they have to have a special location for series makes me think, well, then your search algorithm or display needs a little work. And again, this is for the Roku. The web is similar, but there are differences. I still don't particularly care for the web interface, but that's just my opinion. This is giving you information so you can to make your own choice. If we come down to browse, we have originals, just added, last chance, coming soon. So let's say last chance. This will, again, aggregate all the things that will be leaving HBO Max because they're losing the license to it. If we come to coming soon, this will let you know everything that will be coming to HBO Max soon. Now, this is not going to be as useful in the future because they're not doing day-and-day release for movies in the future by the time you're probably seeing this. Coming over, we have hubs. Just like we saw that strip before, you have HBO, Max Originals, DC, TMC, Studio Ghibli, Cartoon Network, and Crunchyroll. I'm going to pop into Crunchyroll because if you are familiar with Crunchyroll and its offerings, I'm going to tell you this is actually not all of its offerings. It is a smaller selection based on what HBO has access to. And I did a quick jump on the screen just to show you it does take a little buffer for loads, even though the particular Roku that I'm using is the top Roku at the moment. So if you're keen on, hypothetically, dubs, you have less of a selection for your dubs. And then subtitle. This was something I thought was interesting. Some of them will give you the option to actually change the subtitles, whether you want the Japanese or if you want English subtitles. So that's what a adult main profile looks like. We're going to select back on the Roku remote twice to come up to our profiles area. And we're going to select switch profile here. And again, as I mentioned before, my list, if I want to edit, you can remove items here. And we're going to switch our profile and we're going to jump into a kids profile. So the top, you might have ads from HBO that are above what you want your children to be able to see. So if I select play, you'll notice that the content is blocked because this is above the movie level that I allow for my child profile. The problem I have with this and with that search function, you can have some pretty graphic looking cover art for something, but it will still show up. So here we go. Look, this is a kid's profile. Just added. You have XXX. It's PG-13. You'll see it has that lock icon, meaning if a child tries to select it and play it, they're not going to be able to. But again, that profile image is here, and I don't know about you, but you can get some pretty risque looking or graphic looking cover art. So that's one ding that I have on HBO Max for a kid's profile. I think if you don't want me, if I have selected don't show a specific age grouping, don't show it in the just added or popular on HBO Max, because guess what? They're a child and I don't want them picking for themselves. Just a thought. But here you go. This is coming down on a kid's profile, just added selection. You can see lots of things are locked because this profile is a younger profile. Festival favorites, must watch. HBO Max Hub. You'll notice that this one is geared more towards children. You don't have those other extra areas, but there still is a lot of advertisement for things that I don't think a child's profile should have access to. It's just food for thought. You can make up your own decision. Personally, I do not think that HBO Max is going to be something that is geared towards children. I think it's got a long way to go before it is an acceptable alternative for children. As an adult thing, it's great because, well, it's HBO. You know what you're getting into. Some areas, aside from the child's profile, that need a little work, things like fast forwarding during a movie or show, it allows you to use the directional pad or the fast forward button on the Roku remote. The problem is it is not a true one-to-one comparison of what you're looking at. Another thing, skip intro. Not 100%. Some shows will have it. Some HBO originals will have it. Some don't. It's inconsistent. Really need to work on that. The last bit is pricing. HBO Max is actually one of the more expensive cord cutting options. They have both an ad and an ad-free version. The ad version will cost you $10 a month. I don't necessarily know how I feel about paying, even for HBO premium content, $10 a month to see ads. If you want the ad-free version, it is $15 a month. Is this something that you necessarily need all the time? Well, if you are a fan of, and we'll come down to our hubs, HBO Originals, DC, Time Warner, Adult Swim, a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff, Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. If these are things that you find interesting or like to watch a lot of, maybe HBO Max is what you're looking for. Me personally, this is probably something that I'll turn on and off as needed, whether I want to catch up on an HBO original like Westworld, or if there's a new movie that comes out that I really want to see but isn't going to one of the other streaming services, I'll pay $15, watch a couple movies, watch a couple series, get my money's worth. It's not something that I personally would have on all the time. And that's what you have to remember. When you are cutting the cord, you don't need to have all of your streaming services on all the time. There are some that you can have on as supplemental and as needed. This, for me, would be one of them. Is it for you? Only you will know for sure. Hopefully, some part of this informational review of HBO Max helpful in you making a decision for yourself if it is the right streaming service for you. With that being said, I have been Wanderer001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.